All right, guys, we're going to do This Little Boat Taking an Unexpected Journey, Acrylic April, Day 2. Let's get going. Hello and welcome to Deliberately Creative. I'm Stephanie and I want to welcome you to a fun and relaxing little painting project. We're going to be doing this little paper boat taking us on an unexpected journey. This is going to be a very limited palette. We are going to have black, Prussian blue, white, and maybe use some burnt sienna to enhance and warm up some of the shadows. Maybe. But I want you to know I do have this as a traceable on my website. Click below for all the information on the paints and where to get the patterns and traceables for my channel. All of the links below either go to my personal stuff or to affiliate links. So please, if you buy something, thank you, because you're supporting my channel by purchasing products. The price will never change. If you want to support my channel in other ways, let's just get it all done. I have a Teespring store where pinned at the top of the chat, I have my brand new Monday Isn't Real t-shirt. It's so cute. You got to check that out. Number 2, I do have a Patreon page where you can support my channel for as little as $2 a month. And but I know that in this time, a lot of people don't have that kind of money to spend, even $2 a month. So if you can't do that, that's okay. I still want you here to click that subscribe button and watch my videos. Make sure that you have clicked that like and share. And I saw that some of my really great subscribers and patrons here in my YouTube land have been have been sharing. Another S word. Oh well, let's get started painting after I say hello to everybody that's coming in on the chat. Welcome, guys. Hello, Joan and Debbie and Anessa and Amy. Woo, Kathy! Yay! All right, guys, this is going to be a lot of fun. Oh, one more salesy type of thing, and then I won't go into that anymore, is that I do have a coloring book on Amazon, and the link is down below in the more information also. But here, I will see if I've got that. Ah, there it is. Grab my link for the coloring book. Copy. And put that into the chat. I did a coloring book with over 50 mandala designs. These are fun and easy, and some of them are a little more detailed, but I drew every single one of these designs, and they're so much fun to color and just relax with. That one's like the hardest one in the whole book. So fun. All right, let's get started here. I took this traceable and a piece of Ceral wax-free. Make sure that you always get the wax-free when you're using it with painting and acrylic watertight medias. Wax-free transfer paper. And I transferred this design onto my background. Now, I did go ahead and just take straight Prussian blue and put it onto the background. I did not do anything special. All I did was squirt it on and use a wide wet brush and just smushed it out and dried it. Let it dry. Now, the acrylic gouache is matte. There's no shine to it. It dries. The acrylic gouache seems to be drying pretty true to color. It's a little bit lighter. I'll go ahead and put just a tiny, tiny bit. It's a little bit lighter, but not much. The dark colors dry lighter, light colors dry darker in gouache. So I want to get these put out. We have a little bit, and I'm just going to put a little bit of burnt sienna out. I've got some of the Strathmore palette paper down here. So I'm not doing this straight on my table. This is on top of a piece of shiny Strathmore. I have, yeah, that Prussian blue. It makes my heart sing. And I think that it's going to go really well. Putting some black out. This black is like some of the deepest, darkest jet black. I will put more paint out as I need it. Prussian blue. This Prussian blue looks almost black when you just squeeze it out of the tube. So it's kind of nice to sort of scrape it along with the cap or the neck of the tube when you're putting it out so that you can see that's blue. Little tricks. And then white. And we're going to be doing, this is pretty much a monochrome type painting. Monochrome meaning one main color, and the main color in this is the Prussian blue. The rest of the colors, if I use any of the burnt sienna, it will just be to warm up the shadows a little bit. I think we are going to pop in here and start laying in that really dark area that goes along this back. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in even closer. There we go. Let's just get that out of the way. You guys know to hit the like button, right? Maybe I can set it over there. Haha. All right. So what I want to do, I'm taking a 1/2 inch. This is a 1/2 inch Simply Simmons flat wash brush. It does have that little slopey back end to it, little beveled. That's it, beveled back edge. I haven't been using this brush recently, so it was a little bit splayed out. Take my tea bag out of my cup of tea. Maybe even take a quick slurp. The deepest, darkest, secretiest black. You know, it is velvety. When it dries, it is a totally velvety black. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that black and the blue together right here in the middle. And we're going to go in and get this top corner put in with the darkest tone. You can layer these. These are acrylic. They become water permanent. How about they're no longer water soluble once they dry. They have a polymer in them instead of a water-based dissolvable type medium or water miscible. Let's just get a little bit of that dark worked in. All right. So I'm looking around here going, where did my reference go? I'm going to have to click on a different page. That's what it is. There he is. There's my reference. So I'm loosely bringing this in, loosely following those sort of random water rippled edges, and trying to leave a few spots just because it helps me to remember what I'm looking at. Do I prefer acrylic gouache or regular? I like them both for different reasons, but if I have to put a preference down, I would prefer regular gouache than the acrylic. But that's, you can do certain techniques with either one. If you like to work more watercolory, then you can blend through, but have that ability with the gouache to layer light colors on top of dark colors. I like that the best. But I do like the brush link. Thank you. All right, so I do like the ability to layer my colors and not have them lift up also, because there's times when you've put down several layers of color and you're looking at it and going, oh, I just need a little bit of something right here. And then you go over with your dark color and you lift up too hard on that bottom color. But this right now, putting this in, because I have that lighter color underneath, it's not going to lift up through because we're using the acrylic gouache. And this is really just like putting an abstract painting in this background bit. I'm not going to take the straight dark color back down much more. That was probably a little bit more than I wanted to, but I'll just wiggle it around. And now we'll add a tiny touch of white to that dark color. And that is just, boom, going to start lightening it up. We're dancing that around. These are the reflections of the sky and of the trees on the bank. And see? And we can allow some of that blue that's in the background to poke through. There we go. Still just using that 1/2-inch brush. And I haven't washed it, so there's still quite a bit of black in this brush. So we're getting those in-between colors. We do want a bit of a dark, but a bit of a light behind the boat. I'm working pretty much across. Oh wow, look at that. We're already starting to get reflection feel. Just back and forth. There's some spots where there's some brighter light, even in the background, but not as much. It goes much darker as you go farther back. Need a little bit more water. One thing with the acrylic gouache is that it's slipperier, if that's a real word. We're just going to work some of that light back in there. I'm keeping my strokes fairly horizontal, even as I'm working these rounded reflection type lights in. See? We're just working it in. I am going to be doing, oh, you're talking about Mark. Yeah, Mark is awesome. I'm going to be doing a live show every Monday through Friday. And then I'm going to do my paintings for the Acrylic April on Saturdays and Sundays, but I haven't decided if I'm going to just do surprise lives when I feel like it, or if I'm going to do the record them and just show them as speed videos with a voiceover, kind of speeding things up, sort of like Cinnamon's doing on her premieres. All right, need to bring some of that down here. Get that wet, bring a bit more light into it. Right in this zone. I'm bringing it over the boat just a little bit, so that way it feels like the boat is part of the background, or part of the foreground, not the background. And then there's quite a bit more light over here. Just wiggling it on. It's really nice when you just work flat with your brush. You can get those reflections, and if you don't mix your paint on your brush too much, you can actually get some really cool variations of tone. Streaming is hard, but you know what? I've been finding out that I like streaming better than editing. So, you know, there's a trade-off, because I'm still going to be recording. No matter what I do, I'm going to be recording. So, if it's easier for me not to do the editing part, you know, you get a trade-off. You see how I'm just dancing this back and forth? I'm just working these colors around the painting. And it looks kind of patchwork, doesn't it? But while it's still wet, I can take the edge of the brush and blur those edges out and bring darker colors. I'm kind of sitting funny here. Bring darker colors down along those lighter colors. I'm not really rinsing my brush out very much, so there's some magical combinations happening. But remember, it is only Prussian blue, black, and white on my brush for all these variations of tone. We want those colors and shifts to be much softer. So now I'm going to take my brush and do some smooth horizontal strokes. Sort of turning my brush on a bit of an angle so it gets a little bit of a wider attack to it. Down here in the front, it's much darker. So we're going to bring some of that darker tone in and just lightly brushing it in, taking a touch more water. You know, and once you get this sort of started going in and you look at it, you go, oh, I see. There's really not much. See, there's a lot less dark up there. Up there as I'm looking at it and not saying where I'm going. Silly me. But we just start getting those blends smoothing out so they're more like smooth and easy ripples. All right, so yeah, the brush is not completely clean, but I'm just going to go back in with a fairly just damp brush. And where the paint is still wet, it will reactivate or move. So where it's still wet, I can move the paint around. But once it's dry, see up here, it's just a little bit wet up there still, but not much. But that part is the part that lets me blend the edges. So, just blending those edges. Thank you so much to my husband Mark, who's in the chat room and is helping to moderate and answer questions. So if you have questions that you want answers from me on, let Mark know. But generally, I try to look up and see who's asking questions, but I'm also trying to get this painting done in a relatively expedient way. Now I'm just using the edge of that damp brush to sort of scrub and kind of lift. I am working on a 140-pound watercolor paper that has not been treated with anything. I did not gesso my paper ahead of time or anything like that. Acrylic. You could do this with straight acrylic paint. You don't have to use the acrylic gouache to do this painting. You can use straight acrylic paint and do the same method here. Let's see. Looking at that going, that actually ends up being a bit darker right there. Let some of that water off my brush. There we go. Yes, we are missing grandkid time, aren't we? Grandkids have chickens to play with and cousins that basically live with them. So they've got friends to play with. They've got their cousins to play with that are next door in the house. And so they're basically treating the two pieces of property as one property. So they can have fun playing. All right. You know, there's a point in which you keep going, and then you go, oh, whoops, I went too far. And I think I need to bring some much more light in here now and sort of dance it in. And get those puddles of light happening again. I kind of went a little bit too far, but that's okay because, you know, really there's no too far. There's just taking more time. So there's a bit of a puddle of light back here. And kind of zigs that way a little bit. You just want those rounded off puddles. So there's that dark right there. And then there's some puddle of light. And this one kind of works back and forth between light and dark. Back and forth. So you kind of dark there and light there. Back and forth along that edge. Okay, that's starting to feel a little more puddly back and forth. And then down here, it's much darker. So I need to just bring in some of that dark with a bit of light in it. And then we're a bit more blue, still pretty dark, coming up this side, but a bit more blue and puddly. So puddly means sort of rounded, blobby shapes with smooth edges, not so chopped up. Almost like we're reflecting those clouds. And you could do this with a round brush. Probably would have been easier, but did I do that? No. There we go. Oh, that's starting to feel better. All right. You know, you get to a point and you just have to say, I think we have pretty much need one more dark puddle right over here. This paint actually goes a long, long way. And I want to thank you guys for coming and hanging out and painting and sharing. Please share your artwork on the Acrylic April page in the Acrylic April group. Also, you can share them by tagging me on Instagram and Facebook. This is a little bit darker down here. And then what we are going to do is dry that. Well, not quite yet. I do want to soften that edge just a little bit. Yeah, I appreciate all the people who are out here making videos right now. If you like fun step-by-step, Lindsay, oh wait, I forgot, who's in the chat today, she has been doing some really cool live streams and speed videos with doing some Matisse, you know, the Matisse goldfish and the Matisse kitty cats and dogs. So much fun. Okay, I really need to stop messing with it. You know, I say that and then continue, right? There we go. Okay. You put yesterday's tutorial on my Facebook page. Excellent. I will go and check. I am on Facebook. I am checking on Facebook, but sometimes things are slower to get into my feed for some reason. I don't know why, especially when it's on my own page, but that is what happens sometimes. So I will go and make an effort to look for that if I haven't already seen it, because I saw several that got posted today. All right. I'm going to dry this really quick with my hair dryer. Not hair dryer. I'm using a heated craft tool. I'm holding it back at a distance. It's warm air if you hold it back, but it's not roasting it super, super hot. But this way we can get the paint dry and I can move on to doing the boat. And the reflection for the boat. Oh, Van Gogh's bedroom next Tuesday. So that's the yellow room with the chair and the bed? Is that the one? All right. So what I want to do, I think, is I'm going to go ahead and trace this back on using a piece of that Surreal paper. And I'm going to try and line it up. Let's see, which side? That is the chalky side. You can use this over and over, even if there's lots of lines on it. So I am just going to go like this. It doesn't have to be perfect. Oh, excellent. I am so glad that I have that in my memory. All right, I'm taking just a standard pencil. This is a watercolor pencil, I guess, but you know, or maybe this, yeah, this is a watercolor pencil. But tracing over the lines, let's see if I'm not too far off. Close enough. And this is one of those little paper folded boats that you would make as a kiddo when you were making the paper hats out of newspapers. Get some of these little highlighty lines that I'm going to put in too, just so that I know that there's some there. And then I'm going to draw the outline of that folded little paper boat. Things shift off. It's okay. Let's see. See how we did. Woo! All right. We got it lined up pretty well. So now I am actually going to go in and put my bright white, because that's the farthest bit back. I'm going to fill in this part. And I think I'm actually going to switch to my round brush. And there's a bit of a white down here also. So maybe I'll do that bit. Now the shadow down here in the water is all black or deep blue. So I am going to, mostly, but there's a little bit of a lighter reflection of this white. So I'll go ahead and put that on there just so I remember it's there. I'm going to go over it with the dark, but let's see. And then this part over here ends up being a gray. This is very much like doing a puzzle, and you're just finding the pieces that fit together. When you're doing this with straight acrylic, you can work in thin layers like this. See, I want that to be, I guess I'm still using this brush. I want this part here to be more of a blue. I'm blocking him in, but mostly it's a blocked in boat anyway. It's going to be darker, but I'm just getting it blocked in. And then up here, the folded triangle bit that sticks up. There's going to be a little bit of shadow on that because it is folded, so it will have bright side and darker side, but not too much. Mostly it will have that edge. And wow, we've got a bit of a folded triangle over on this corner here. Hey, Renee. Nice to see you. You know, I love when people are just watching also. So please, even if you're just watching, if you would share this video with your friends, and I know, Renee, you do, so thank you. It is very, very appreciated. Let's see. I'm just kind of looking around going, there's a bit of a brighter highlight of white out here around the boat. And okay, I see some little wiggly highlighty bits that are kind of like joining sections. And I put my hand in the paint. There we go. See? And it's acrylic paint, so it will dry and it will not transfer. See, once you... I'll just look a little bit bruised until I wash it all off. It comes off with Sherpa soap really, really well. So, Art Sherpa soap. I'm going to change brushes. I'm done blocking that bit in. I'm going to grab my smaller brush. And acrylic gouache does stick in your brushes, so make sure and get it really rinsed out so that you're not, see, I'm still getting some blue out of my brush. So keep your brushes wet while you're working, and then make sure it's really rinsed out before you set it aside. I am grabbing, let's see, let's go with this one. Maybe. I think so. No, I need something that's a little bit bigger than a round. With a bit more control, maybe smaller. That's it. So this is this came from the Turner company. It came with my Turner Acrylic Gouache. This looks like it's about a, well, let's see. Let's size it up to the 1/2 inch. So this is about a 3/8 inch. So let's try the 3/8 inch. And so now I want to darken up this right here a little bit, but not totally dark, just darker. So on like that. Put some water into that paint. going to bring the corner up just a little higher. There. And then, let's see, the outside of that there. This is going to go much, oh golly. Okay. What am I doing? I am just getting paint all over me. All right. I want to do a much darker blue stripe right here. Because this was folded from a piece of paper. Let's just get that in there. A little bit darker, maybe with a touch of black in it. All right, if your colors start to skin or start to act like they're getting a little bit thick, give them a quick mist. I don't think I'm going to end up using any of that burnt sienna. You know? Just making that really dark blue-black. There we go. So this is like a band of text on this paper. It was probably a piece of magazine paper or something. There was some writing on it. Let's see. Does that go? It goes all the way up to this edge right here. Rotate and streak the paint across. See, I'm really having a hard time today, aren't I? Let's just... And this paint, the Prussian blue, is a phthalo blue base, which means it's very staining. I'm going to set that wad of paper over to the side. What can I say? What can I say? You know, sometimes when you're paying attention to something else, you don't see where you are. That's kind of life, isn't it? If we start paying attention to other things that don't really matter in the moment, being present is much more important. Let's see. So a little bit lighter, and the paper over here is a bit folded. There's sort of a shadow right here. And then a little bit lighter, more white, more white. That's almost the same color. Okay, too much. Take some paint out of my brush. Take more white with whatever the paint is that's in my brush. There we go. And then we want to make this have a bit of some variation. Just get up on the tippy toe of the brush and just bring it along. There we go. Fun, 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 fun. All right. Bit dark right there. And then I'm just making all kinds of little plops of this paint. And if this was regular gouache, I would be able to go back to all of these little plops of paint because they are so thin. I would still be able to reactivate them if it was regular gouache. But since it is not regular gouache, we just have to start using those colors wherever it looks like they need to go when it's on the brush, because they're not going to pick up very easily again. You'll have to make it. And then So this background over here is actually considerably lighter. And that brush is considerably full of paint. So I am going to have to squeeze this out to pick up more white. And along this back edge here, and pull down in, just to get some of that shadow going down inside there, but it needs to be white also, and all the way up to the point. There it is. There it is. Sometimes you just have to work for it a little bit. We're getting quite the little boat going here. There's a bright white edge. Let's see if I can pull straight across. Bright white edge on that edge of the center top part of the boat. And then it sort of softly goes in. There was sort of a fold in this paper here, I think. I can't remember exactly. I'd have to fold a new boat to see. That edge needs to be much sharper because I know that that's a fold where the paper is folded over. And let's sharpen up that edge of the boat. Get those points going up. And then I need to clean up that edge just a little bit. Yes, the reactivating of regular gouache is one of the cool things that I really do miss when I'm using the acrylic gouache. But when it's still wet, you can go back, just like with acrylic paint, and clean up your edges. I'm actually going to draw that down along and get kind of a little highlight going. Come on, bristles of the brush, stay together. There you are. I want a little bit of that white or brighter white right there. It just gives us that idea that that paper is folded. There's something else going on here. All right. Looks like the boat's pretty well in. Maybe a tiny bit of a shadow right there. And a little bit of, see where it was a shadow up here on the white, it's actually going to be a highlight down here on the dark. Yeah. And it could just be printing on the paper too. There we go. All right, so now we're going to go in and start putting in the main shadow of the boat. So we have right up along under the edge, it is dark. And I almost ran that through the paint again. Ha ha ha. Didn't get it though. There we go. So I'm going to rotate this. I'm going to pull that dark shadow right here along the edge under the boat. Sorry, my hand got in the way. Sometimes that happens, you know, when you're working so hard at trying to get an effect. There we go. And that's really dark. All the way out. And up to here. And I need to sharpen up that line. I just got some water on my brush. There's plenty of paint in my brush. So that actually needs to come down farther because there's a flatter edge right there. And then you don't really see all that much of that lighter color right there. I'm just going to brush over the top of it lightly, kind of glaze it. And yeah, maybe. Definitely need to put a little bit of light back in that. Let's see, so that would be going this angle. Looking at things upside down and backwards is always fun because you see so many different ways. Sorry, I'm crawling right up on my brush here. Just so that you could see it. How's that, guys? How are we doing? I do see a little bit of smoothing that has to happen back there in the water, but I want to get the boat in. I am taking that blue and black and just a tiny touch of white, but not that much. I'm knocking off most of the white. There we go. And then we are going to put in that center bit up here, the pokey up bit. And then I'm going to put just a tiny bit more light into the water, into the reflection here. It's still darker than the boat. Reflections tend to be darker. Reflections don't tend to brighten. They're actually diffused light. So because they're diffused light, they get darker. And then you don't really even see that backside. I'm looking in my reference here. You don't really see the backside as a separate color. It's just some more of that dark. Okay. We're getting it. We're getting it. So now, looking here, I'm going, that shadow actually has, or that highlight has a shadow under it because it's swinging around the edge of the boat. And this shadow does all, or this highlight does also, and it has a bit of it on the inside. Coming around. Just, we'll go ahead and bring it around this way just a little bit. We're going to make up some of these ripply bits out here, I think. Just so it looks like it's floating a little bit more. You have a highlight, a shadow, a highlight, and a shadow. And they tend to move more sinuously. They're not as brushy. And they do tend to be flat and horizontal because that's where the water, you know, the effect of the water, flat and horizontal. So I need to get some of those lighter spots smoothed out, ripply. There we go. Like that. And then put a little bit more light into that on the edge. You're working light and shadow, light and shadow. This is all that is highlights and shadows. Okay, that part right there, I'm really happy with how that little bit right there worked. Now I need to smooth out these guys. And I'm just running around and grabbing the colors, and then get some of that dark, and then let those edges blur and blend. I keep looking up because I hear my husband walking around in the other room as he's doing his duty here. Are you guys enjoying this? Is this something that you want to see more of? Are you going to come back and watch more of my acrylic April journey? I hope you do. It would be nice to know that I've got some friends that want to see it. See, I want to darken that bit up. I don't like that so much. And this is the point in the video, or in the point of the painting, where Stephanie goes and just starts puttering around and kind of making things look a little bit more like the reference, but not totally. I am not really looking at the reference. You love the movement in the water? Oh, good. Oh, good. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate hearing that. You know, I'm in a much better mood today. Yesterday, I was in a weird place. So today, I'm feeling much better about life, the universe, and everything. Tomorrow is going to be a fun, it's fire and ash. And so what I'm going to do is California poppy, because the California poppies grow into super blooms after a big fire. And so a couple years ago, there was the huge super bloom and lots of photos, but I'm going to do a close-up, I think, of that's what I need to do. Some of these areas here just need to be unified a little bit. They're a little bit too many colors. A little bit too much variation. There we go. Yeah, that's what it needed. So this right here needs to be a little bit more smoothed out. A little more one unified color instead of multiples. You were having, yeah, I don't know what yesterday was, what was it about yesterday? But boy, it was a day. It was a day. And I'm glad we're having a better day today. Like that. Light's dry, darker, dark's dry, lighter. And sometimes it's hard to remember that. And then you put your paint down. And even with the acrylic gouache, that's what happens. Oh, yeah, see how we've got some of those ripples that are coming in now by trying to not have it be so much variation in the color. We're smoothing it in. It's all part of working. Lenny, thank you so much. Yes, I'm doing well. I hope you are also. I'm going to sort of look around and see what paint I have. I want to make this a much more smooth, less variation, but have it come down into that darker space. Move the paint around. You can work in thin layers. Have these sort of fit together like puzzle pieces, I think is really what it is. They sort of fit together like puzzles. Now, that back edge actually needs to be darker. And it comes in, allows the light to shine, but it comes back and it's darker on that back edge. There. All right. I'm feeling better about this. A little bit of smoothing out right here. I've got some wet paint on my brush still. Yeah, it's really hard, you know, on a lot of, for a lot of folks being stuck at home and, you know, not being used to being at home. You know, this is my job. I am at home for my job. But even I am having some little issues of frustration. I think the fact that I know that I can't go places when I normally could. All right, Lindsay, thank you so much for being here. I will be checking you out later. All right, I'm taking a little bit of this light, kind of giving a bit of a ripple down here in the front. Sort of comes along. And there's a bit of a light ripple. Let's see if I can find some light. There we go. All right, let's see. Just smooth out that edge just a smidge of the black. Need a little bit more of the black. Lighten reflection. Get those colors on there in a smooth way. So if you were doing this with straight acrylic paints, I would probably recommend using more of a soft body or craft paint to do this. If you're trying to replicate the same type of motion that I'm doing with my brush. You can thin your regular heavy body paints. All right. So there's some dark shadowy bits. More than bright, there's dark. So I'm just going to put some of those in here, kind of unify across. Keeping them pretty horizontal. Letting it skip around if it needs to. I think we have this. I am going to put my signature on here and we are going to be done. If you are following along, remember to share your artwork with me on Instagram, on Facebook. You can pin on you can tag at Deliberately Creative on Pinterest also, if that's someplace that you like to post. I am going to take some black with just a touch of that blue and white. Get kind of a gray, not too bright. Wrong brush. This one's not going to a point. Grab a little mimic. Now these mimics are watercolor brushes, and this is acrylic gouache, so I will make sure that I get it washed out really, really well. I think I'm going to sign right over here. Get that a little more wet. Get a little bit more color into it. Oh, there we go. Can it be done with glazing liquid? Yes, it could be. Yes, it could be. So you could thin your paint with glazing liquid. That's going to make it a little more transparent, and gouache is a more opaque. So you might have to do a couple layers with glazing liquid, but it will work. Now I'm going to take the tape off. And move that out of the way. We will go and get a nice clean background here. So let's say we're going to actually go to the little bit wider view. I'm going to move my palette. And I want to say thank you guys so much for being here. Remember to click that like button and let's see here, boom. Remember to click that like button, subscribe to the channel, share the video with your friends, and share your pictures, your paintings with me. Thank you, and remember to go out and do something creative in your own home, around your own yard, and take care of yourself so you can take care of those around you. And I hope to see you back here again really soon. Bye.